So, you are going to a Barbie or a doll convention, maybe for the first time, maybe not. I'm going to share some tips and tricks to make sure that you have an awesome convention and are able to get everything out of it. So, keep watching. Hey everyone, welcome to my channel called A Barbie Collector. At this channel we talk about vintage Barbies mostly, so if you're into that, stay tuned. As you can tell by today's video title, we are going to talk about tips and tricks for visiting a Barbie convention. So, I've gone to quite some conventions over the years, for over a decade to be a little bit more precise, and I would like to share some insights from my own experience. To prepare this video, I have made 3 categories. The first one is called Focus, the second one is called Finances, and the last one is called Practical Matters. So, let's dive in. So, the first piece of advice that I would like to share with you guys is for the category Focus, and the point where I want to talk about is called a wish list. So, as the first piece of advice, I would highly recommend you to make a list of dolls you would like to buy, like a wish list. You never know what you're going to come across at a convention, and I think it's good to have some focus on what you would like to have beforehand. So before knowing what there's going to be at a convention, ask yourself, what would I love to buy at this convention if everything is possible? In other words, what do I have on my wish list in general? So it may sound simple, but I really think that this will help with not doing too much impulse purchases, and it's just something good to think about in general. Is there a story you want to tell with your collection, and what do you need to tell that story? I think it really comes in handy when you're like looking online for dolls, or you're going to markets or conventions that you have thought about what you're still missing in your collection. And let's be honest, making your own wish list is fun, right? So I think it's always a good idea, especially for conventions when you can be overwhelmed by everything that's to offer. The second one is that if you have made a wish list with dolls you would like to buy, make a separation between must-haves and nice-to-have dolls. So categorizing a Barbie as a must-have doll doesn't mean that she has to be like, I don't know, $5,000 and super rare. It can also mean that it's a doll you just really want to have in your collection. Try to make a difference between dolls you would really like to have and dolls that are nice to have. There are Barbies on my wish list personally that I would pay the current value for, maybe even more. But there are also Barbies that I like to have but see as less necessary for my collection. In general, I would only buy those if it was for a lower price. So I know what I'm asking with this third piece of advice because it would ask like quite a lot of your time, but for me it's very crucial. I have an inventory list of my collection. You know, it's also good to have that for insurance reasons, but in this case, it's really good to have an inventory list of your collection. Let me explain. You can have a small or a big collection, but still you can forget what items are that you already have and what items are that you're still looking for. So for example, you come across an American Girl Barbie swimsuit and you're not entirely sure if all the American girls that you have the swimsuit. It would be sad if you got home and missed out on a great deal because you weren't sure. So if you have a list of what you have in your collection, however, I know that's maybe a bigger project than just preparing for a Barbie convention, but still, if you have a list of what you have, but essentially of what you're missing, it can be really important for a convention. I do not have my collection on display currently, so I can be confused sometimes about what I have and what I don't. I think making this inventory list will really help you out because you can even just look at that list on your phone, for example, while you're walking around and be like, oh yeah, wait, I have to keep my eyes open for this. For example, I'm currently collecting Barbie Bazaar magazines because I use a lot of the input of Barbie Bazaar magazines for the videos I'm making. And I have this inventory list of items that I have or like numbers that I have and issues that I don't have. I was at a convention and someone had just some separate or loose numbers of the Barbie Bazaar, and I could just take a look at my list and be like, oh wait, this one I have, but this one I don't, this one I don't. It's just very comfortable and easy if you have a list like that. Maybe a little bit more difficult if you have thousands of items, but in my case, I'm not exactly sure how many dolls I have, but let's say
one eternity later.
Over somewhere in hundreds. And it's still very manageable, so to keep track of a list, yeah. Advice number 4, ask around. If you have a list with items that you're still searching for, but you don't see it on display at a convention, you can always choose to approach a seller and ask if they have that specific item. They may have that particular item because not all sellers have the place to display everything they've got. And it can also be the case that they have it at home, so they could maybe send it afterwards. Me personally, I have frequent contact with some sellers and they know what I like to buy, what I'm looking for, so they give me a heads up if they got something for sale when they know it's on my list. And then we arrived at the chapter Finances. So We're gonna talk about a subject we don't like talking about, let's be honest, but it's very important, finances. Yay! We don't like to talk about finances now, but I don't know if you have found that pot of gold yet. Let me know because I haven't. So there we go. Basically, I always have to prepare my bank account mentally, physically, in any way possible for a Barbie convention. So the first thing I would advise to do is decide on your spending budget beforehand. It may sound obvious, but isn't always the case. Please do this. Look at it from the bright side. Having a budget will make you more aware and more critical towards what you're going to buy on a convention. I mean, I don't have all the space of the world, so I really try to be critical with what I buy and want to add to my collection. I do not just buy Barbies to have Barbies and to have thousands of Barbies or whatever, but because of the story I want my collection to tell. I want it to be an asset. I don't want it to be something that I will regret or something that doesn't fit into the story of my collection. So, just look at it from the bright side. Like I mentioned, it will enhance the quality of your collection if that's something you care about. So, in the Netherlands, where I live, we have a convention around springtime and around autumn. So, I always try to prepare my bank account for those 2 moments in the year. Use that to your advantage and start saving monthly if you have the possibility to. I know this is advice from a privileged position, but if you want to go to a convention, you don't really have to go with a lot of money. You can also go with like $10 or maybe nothing, and you can just still have a great day, meet cool people. But if you have the intention to buy stuff, I don't think it's a bad idea that if you can, start saving money for that monthly, for example. It can be whatever you want, but I think it's good to have something, to build something up before you go. And not to be in panic or maybe disappointed a month beforehand or in the moment when you find something you really want to have but don't have the money for. But, me talking about all this stuff, maybe you're just rich, Can't relate. Maybe you're just really rich. Then just swipe the credit card, forget everything I said, just spend it for us. Think about all the Barbie collectors that would like to be in that position. So go you. And part 2 is, what am I willing to pay for this doll? The moment is there, you found a specific dream doll and then you look at the price and you're not sure if it's reasonable. I would highly recommend to do some research on prices of the dolls on your wish list. For example, check where similar dolls go for on an online marketplace you use, or check out eBay sold items. But don't forget, a seller can ask whatever they want to ask, and you're not obligated to pay that. You can just say no thank you or offer a lower price. And if a doll is worth more to you than online prices you see, don't be bothered, go for it. It's just an indication if you're curious, and it still depends on a lot of other things. Prices are different in every region, country, by popularity, by availability, by condition, and depending on a lot of other factors. So take values with a grain of salt, please. But personally, I still like to do research beforehand so you don't feel insecure in the moment or scammed afterwards, or don't miss out on a good deal. And then we go to the last chapter. It has quite some points, but there we go. It's called Practical Matters. And the first point or first piece of advice that I would like to talk about is, what do you want to get out of this convention? Maybe a very easy question, but I think still good to think about. I mean, if you mostly just want to have fun and socialize, go with friends, go during prime time, go for it. If you're there for deals and want to snoop around, mostly what I do, just go by yourself, go early. My more introverted side comes out with conventions. I like to go alone and just wander around, mostly just strolling, looking, observing, buying. But think about what you want. Going together has benefits. You can help another with an extra set of eyes and give each other advice. But maybe after strolling around for a little bit, your partner in crime says, well, I'm done. And maybe you want to you want to take extra time to look around and stuff. So just be prepared of what you want and what you're looking for in a convention. That's all. The second piece of advice is, take transparent boxes with you or wrapping paper. At least take something with you to safely transport your new bought items. In my experience, some sellers take care of wrapping an item, giving you a bag, buy something from them, but some don't. That's also really my experience. So I always take these cases with me just to be sure and just to take care of the things that I just bought. Number 3, what time do you want to be at a convention? Do you want to have an early bird ticket and be one of the first to see everything and snatch the good deals? Or do you want to go at the end of the convention where there are possibly more items for reduced prices and it's more crowded, but you also have the possibility or the risk that there are more items that have already been sold? And then piece of advice number 4 in the category practical matters, especially when it comes to vintage, always look for signs if someone did some work on a Barbie doll. So I always assume the best of people, trust me, but sometimes sellers are not completely honest, unfortunately. So ask questions, but also look for yourself and dare to draw your own conclusions. Some people like to bring a little flashlight or a loupe to take a good look. If you're really not sure in the end, but want to have the doll, ask yourself, is this doll still financially this amount worth to me, even if my assumptions about the condition is true? And then we got to point number 6, the last one, or maybe number 5. Okay, well, I think number 5. So then we got to point number 5. What do I do, or what is my approach? Me personally, I always buy an early bird ticket. I start off with a round of scanning when it's still quiet, and I try to do my first purchases before the regular opening hours apply. I almost never buy something in the first round of strolling because I like to see what's there in the first place, and if I see something I like, see how much it costs, if I have the possibility to think about it for a minute and compare it to a similar item from other sellers. Well, that's what I like to do, but of course when I see a good deal right in front of me, I just go for it, but I mostly just do a lot of rounds of looking around, taking my time, and then when I've bought some stuff, I am more like talking to people. But at first I'm really focused on just buying stuff because that's why I'm there. I'm there to buy stuff, and after that, when I come across acquaintances or something, I obviously like to have a chat with people. So I hope you guys like this video. I know this was a kind of different video, but I hope it is appreciated. Obviously, do with it whatever you like. These are just some tips that I would like to share with you guys, but do whatever you want. If you have some things to add, please let me know. Leave them in the comments down below. I'm very curious because I obviously forgot some things. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. And please share your tips and advice in the comment section down below. And if you're not subscribed yet, please hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications, give this video a like if you do, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much. Bye bye.